Sometimes we experience a moment when a thought comes to us that feels different, especially when we are at the brink of making an important decision. We don't want to ignore that thought because we know the importance of receiving guidance from a higher source, but at the same time, we are not sure if we need to follow that thought. We don't know if that is our inner being talking to us or it is our ego. Hearing our inner voice is not an ability we need to earn. We knew it from the moment we were born. But we need to learn to recognize it and pay attention to it. When we recognize it and pay attention to it, we'll hear it more clearly and strongly. We may still not be able to explain what we received in details, and details are different in each person's experience. But when we start listening to that voice, we learn to recognize it more quickly and accurately. Here I share some ways that can help us differentiate between our inner voice and the voice that comes from our own head. 1. Thoughts from a higher source or our inner being bring a sense of peace, calmness, or a feeling of being centered. But thoughts originating from the ego or conditioned mind create anxiety, doubt, or confusion. Here is an important tip you need to know. You may feel that peace at the moment that you receive that message from your inner being. But as you sit with this message and your thoughts get involved, you may have an emotional reaction to what you just received. Then, if you are not aware enough, you may doubt what you received and get confused. 2. Our inner voice affirms our true identity. Our thoughts question it. What is our true identity really? Our inner being is eternally present in us, and that presence is who we truly are. When we don't have a clear understanding of who we truly are, we allow our beliefs that were shaped by our childhood experiences to dictate who we are. If you receive a thought that criticizes you in any form or shape, that is not your inner voice. Your inner being never criticizes you. Your inner being knows who you truly are, and your inner being never believes that you are unworthy or broken and constantly reminds you of your authentic self. 3. Our inner voice guides us while our thoughts force us to do something. Our inner voice is firm and persistent but not pushy. Forcing and pushing are rooted in fear, and inner being has no fear. You can tell the difference by noticing if the thought is asking you to do something or it is making you feel pressured. Your inner being speaks calmly and confidently but never makes you feel pressured. So if you feel that pressure, it is not your inner being talking. Our inner voice is a steady source of wisdom within us and remains consistent over time. But our thoughts, even on a particular topic, change as they are influenced by our emotional patterns and external circumstances. The core aspect of our being doesn't change its perspective. 5. The messages originating from a higher source resonate with the profound spiritual principles of the universe that govern the universe. But our thoughts are under the influence of personal past experiences and external factors. To accurately recognize and connect with our inner voice, it is important to get familiar with these spiritual principles. You may already be familiar with some of these spiritual principles, like your inner being never expects you to feel superior or inferior toward others. Your inner being never expects you to think that your way is the only way. Your inner being never encourages separation and conflict. So, if the thought that you have received is asking you to do something that may result in separation, conflicts, and so on, then that is not your inner being. 6. The messages from our inner being are in pieces and they don't have a structured sequence. In other words, if we find a clear plan or a step by step process, it is likely that message is not originating from a higher source. The key distinction is in recognizing that the authentic inner voice tends to provide intuitive insights without a complete roadmap. 7. It is important to reflect on the influences or factors that have been shaping our recent thoughts and feelings. This includes the environment we have been in, the people we have been interacting with, the information we have consumed, and any experiences we have had recently. By understanding this, we may understand why a specific thought has emerged. So it is very important to know what you have been doing before receiving that message, in what state you have been. If you have been meditating or you have been practicing being present, then it is more likely the thought that you received is from your inner being. But if you have been binge watching Netflix or hardly ever been in nature and so on, what you received is probably something from your ego. 8. Thoughts that come from a metaphysical source or higher self resonate with a sense of truth, clarity, and alignment with our deeper purpose. Pay attention to the sensation associated with the thought. Our heart will always know the source of a thought, but we need to have spent time being in our heart to be able to recognize the true origin of our thought. So, if we are constantly living in doubt and asking if the thought I received is from my ego or if it is from my inner being, that is not a pleasant place to be in. How we can change this, how we can get familiar with our inner voice and resolve all our doubts. Quieting the mind and creating space is the proven way for attuning to and becoming familiar with our inner voice. In the stillness of a quiet mind, the subtle whispers of intuition and inner wisdom become more audible. This mental silence allows us to distinguish the authentic inner voice from the noise of everyday thoughts and external influences. The best practices to create that space are being present in daily activities. By bringing awareness to each moment, we create opportunities for our mind to settle and become receptive to subtle guidance of our inner being. So, when we immerse ourselves in the present moment, whether it is savoring the taste of food, feeling the sensations during a walk, or being fully present in a conversation, our mind quiets down and we get to have the capacity to receive that guidance from our inner being or our creator. Meditation. Meditate to quiet the mind and create a space for receiving the guidance you need. By focusing on your breath and observing thoughts without attachment, we create a mental stillness that allows the inner voice to become stronger and clearer. Nature connection. Spending time in nature helps us create a deeper connection with our inner self. The tranquility of nature provides an ideal environment for quieting the mind. Whether it is a walk in the park or some moments outside, nature helps our mind to calm down so we can hear our inner voice in a nice and clear way. Solitude. Schedule some time to be alone and free of distraction, whether it is finding a quiet corner at home or a peaceful environment outside. These periods of stillness allow you to listen attentively to the authentic guidance that emerges from within you. Thank you so much for being with me today. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I wish you a peaceful journey of spiritual growth. Until next week.